The entry was a heavy contrast from the hot sunlight and deep shadows. Waiting there, looking uncomfortably warm, was a middle-aged man, his tie sloppily loosened and his jacket tucked underneath his arm. "Are you Maibara-san? Keiichi Maibara-san?" There was no question that he wasn't a resident of Hinamizawa, and that this was without a doubt the first time he'd met me. Ever since I met Tomitake-san, I'd be running into so many middle-aged men. That's right. Who might you be? I have the AC on in my car. Let's talk there. It's a bit hot here, don't you think? That's already pretty shady. The man, completely ignoring my question, pointed over to his car parked near the gate and began walking. You've got to be kidding me. I had no intention of going along with some geezer I didn't even know, and he was asking me to get in his car with him? I'm not going to bite. Come on now. He opened the back door of his car and called me over. I didn't like this old man, but I wanted to know what this was about. Even while knowing that conversations that start out like this have never led to anything good. The inside of the car was pretty cool. Cars with air conditioners are supposed to be a luxury. Really? They're quite common. They're quite common in America. Although Hinamizawa is kind of in the boonies, technically. It's a small mountain village. I don't know if they would have cars, let alone cars with ACs. My dad didn't have one in his car, at least. Please, let me know if it's too cold for you, okay? I have a habit of cranking it all the way up. So what business do you have with me? Out of spite, I decided to ignore his remark in the same way he did to me and start my own line of questioning. He pulled out a notepad from his pocket and took out a picture that was stuck between the pages. On it was the face of a pretty goofy-looking guy. If you know anything related to this individual, then please tell me. Who the heck is this? I doubt even his close friends would be able to recognize who he was from this expressionless picture that looked like it was taken at the DMV. There were scribbles on his shirt done in permanent marker, starting with yours, Maibara-san, and quite a few of your classmates signed as well. Huh? This is Tomitake-san? There was no it was usual unreliable and easygoing personality in this photo. It was an expressionless, half-asleep face. Then do you know this woman? Even before seeing it, I had a good idea of who it was. I don't remember her name, but she's some lady who was with Tomitake-san last night. I didn't know what her name was, but I did know she was a resident of Hinamizawa. When was the last time you saw these two? The night of the Watanagashi, when we spoke. They seemed pretty close, I guess. Did anything bother you about them? Anything is fine. Go ahead and say it. Being asked for every little detail is very troubling, honestly. I had a pretty good idea of who this guy was by now. Did something happen to them? There was no response to my inquiry. Thus, I replied to that silence in kind. I was pretty sure, no, certain, that this guy was a cop. Then why? Why was he asking about Tomitake-san? Did something happen to him? More importantly, why me? Shouldn't there have been plenty of other people who knew more about him than I did? The roar of the air conditioner felt unbearably loud. After a long pause, he finally spoke again. You've moved here just recently, isn't that right, Maibara-san? Are you aware, I wonder, about the stories of Oyashiro-sama? My heart began to race. I'm pretty terrible at hiding things. It probably showed on my face. Not at all. Not at all? If you don't, then that's fine. Well, I have heard of it. Tomitake-san told me, actually. How much do you know about it? The dismemberment killing. The accidental death. The death by illness followed by suicide. And the lady who was beaten to death. The incidents that always happen the day of the Watanagashi, ending in suspicious deaths. I didn't think Tomitake-san would have kept anything from me. I think that was everything. No, rather I didn't want to think if there was anything more than that. Do you know of that, curse, Maibara-san? Feel free to speak openly about it. I don't believe in it. My answer was instant. It wasn't so much that I didn't believe in it as I was on the verge of believing. I wanted to clear away my own doubts. That was a more prominent feeling. Really? Then that's great. Guess you really are one of those city-raised boys. So what if I don't believe? I have friends waiting, so could you get to the point? The man in this picture is dead. My mind went blank. Huh? What happened to Tomitake-san? It would seem that he died last night. That was the night of the Watanagashi. Do you understand the implications behind that, Maebara-san? Implications? Not any for the cause of his death or the reasons behind it. The real problem was that he died on the day of the Watanagashi. Meaning, this year, the curse of Oyashiro-sama had once again. The death of Jiro Tomitake is still confidential. You can understand why that is, right? I didn't want to understand why. Please tell me. Tell me what happened. It's rather peculiar. It might be a little too graphic for someone born and raised in Hinamizawa. It was a roundabout way of saying it, but it caused me to doubt whether or not I wanted to hear the rest. I would only regret forcing myself to learn something I shouldn't. Or at least it's how I figured I would feel if I listened to the rest. One of our patrol cars discovered the body on the way back from the security detail at the festival. The radio call! It was late. About 5 till midnight. The location was... You know where the road into town becomes paved, right? Down past the slope on the shoulder around there? There are a few streetlights on that road. It's pitch black. Its pitch black darkness was only broken by the lights of passing cars in the moon. It was a stroke of luck that Tomitake-san was spotted collapsed on the shoulder of the road. Tomitake-san was face down, covered in blood. Blood and muck covered the asphalt. We thought it was a hit and run at first. But when the officer checked to see if he was still alive, he quickly noticed something abnormal. His throat had been ripped open. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? As in fingernails? With those... he clawed through. From the coroner's report, it was revealed that it was his own nails. What does that mean? Basically, it means it wasn't a murder, it was suicide. Tomitake-san thought there was a reason to tear open his own throat. As hard as he could with his own nails. Tore through the skin until he started to bleed. And even then, Tomitake-san didn't stop. He continued clawing. With enough intensity that it could have peeled off his nails, still clawing. Still clawing. Then, as his nails reached those vital arteries he should never damage, he continued clawing. Blood splattered on the ground around him. As he bled, while gasping for air, he collapsed, his body spasmed, and he died in agony. We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. It was a suicide? I've never heard of such a thing. This unnatural way of dying. If this wasn't a mysterious death, then what was? The way he died. In these 5 years, his death most resembled that of a curse. As if to show both myself and Tomitake-san, who proclaimed there was no such thing as a curse, that we were wrong. There were a few more suspicious details. From his body chemistry, perspiration, epilation, and so on, we concluded that he was in a state of hysteria right before his death. That was a given. It's hard to believe someone could be in a sound state of mind while clawing out their throat. Wounds on his hands matched the discarded piece of lumber found nearby. There were traces of where he stuck trees and the guardrails with it. Tomitake-san's blood was found all over the place. Meaning meaning that while tearing at his own throat, he was swinging around a piece of lumber. There were external injuries, which were not self-inflicted, discovered on Tomitake-san. There is a high probability Tomitake-san was assaulted. The external injuries suggest that there may be multiple suspects. To summarize, Tomitake-san was surrounded and attacked while wandering the night roads in a state of panic. After being cornered, he picked up a piece of lumber and tried to fight back. Somewhere in there, he began madly tearing at his own throat, clawing at it. Then he died. The presumed time of death was around 9:23 p.m., meaning it occurred right after you finished talking to Tomitake-san at the festival. Everyone signed Tomitake-san's shirts and parted ways right after that. Oh yeah, he should have been with a woman. What about her? She's missing. She hasn't shown up to work and she hasn't returned home either. There's a very high probability that she was involved in this incident. For a while, I could only gaze off into space. I would never have thought that something unfortunate happening to somebody close to me could affect me this deeply. The time I'd spent with Tomitake-san was short, but we went to the same festival, spent time together, and took part in the same competition. He was one of us. We have been continuing the investigation on various fronts, but when it comes to Oyashiro-sama's curse, the villagers here aren't very cooperative. That I knew well. I would have been none the wiser if not for Tomitake-san, the outsider, telling me. So that's why you came to me? Because I'm not originally from Hinamizawa? I should have been angry that that was the reason he wanted to hear what happened from me. If things go the way they have been, then the conclusion would be that Jiro Tomitake died from Oyashiro-sama's curse. He turned away from me and gazed far off into the distance. The night of the Watanagashi. During that sacred ritual, he callously snapped off photos, angering Oyashiro-sama. That's how it's going to turn out. There's no way Oyashiro-sama would inflict divine punishment on Tomitake-san! Tomitake-san had to have been killed by humans, and a cowardly group no less. There's no way I'm going to let this end up being the fault of some curse. I think so as well. There's no such thing as divine punishment or curses. A tense mood was cut with the man's hearty laugh. That's how it must be, Maibara-san. Cooperation from individuals in Hinamizawa who don't believe in the curse is indispensable. Understand? Neither Tomitake-san nor I believed in curses. But with the way things were going, it would just end up with Tomitake-san's death marking the 5th year. Which would mean that Hinamizawa had rejected Tomitake-san. That was something I couldn't allow. Tomitake-san was one of us. He didn't live in Hinamizawa, but he came here every single year. In a sense, he was more of a resident than I was. There was no way that Tomitake-san could have been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. But there's nothing I can do to help. I have no idea what happened that night either. No. If you see or hear something that draws your attention, then that is enough. I see or hear. He was talking in the future tense. Things or people or rumors, anything is fine. I don't care if they're unfounded. Here, this is my number. If I'm not there, then just leave a message with whoever picks up. He handed me a piece of paper with his number on it, but I hesitated for a second. If I took it, and whether I wanted to or not, I'd be mired knee-deep in this matter. Please, help me solve these questions surrounding Tomitake-san's unfortunate death. That's right. Why was I hesitating? I needed to find the murderer who killed my friend. I snatched at the piece of paper as a satisfied grin spread across his face. Everything we spoke of today is a secret. Please, keep this confidential. Understood. From your friends as well. Especially from Sonozaki-san and Furude-san. Please do not inform them. Sonozaki? You mean Mion? Why? Are you saying they have something to do with the incident? With my friends' names brought up so abruptly, and being told to keep it a secret from them, I became rather angry. This is what they call investigative privilege, I suppose. Don't play games with me! Mion is a close friend of mine! I snapped at him, but he didn't seem to be especially be offended. I wouldn't mind telling you, but it may just upset you. Say it! He hesitated a little. Turning his gaze to the outside of the car, he began to speak after thinking for a bit. There's a possibility that the string of incidents here in Hinamizawa are a result of a village conspiracy. There's no way that could be right. Give me a break! First of all, is there any proof of that? No evidence. Also, each of the cases were resolved, and none of the perpetrators had any direct connection to the village. Then how did you come to that conclusion? Every year, the enemies of the village die on the day of the Watanagashi. Don't you think that's reason enough to suspect something? Only the residents of Hinamizawa felt that the day of the Watanagashi was sacred. So basically, because incidents happened on that day, it was somehow related to Hinamizawa? First it was the damn construction foreman, then it was a villager that supported it. Those the village hold a grudge against die one after the other from the mysterious causes. The means are different, but in the end the result is the same. Unfounded, unreasonable suspicion. But it couldn't just be shrugged off. So, the victims after that. What about the Shinto priest and his wife's death? They weren't enemies of the village. The villagers had expected leadership from the Shinto priest at the time of the dam dispute. But he wasn't proactive, so there was a faction of the villagers who harbored ill will towards him as a result. Ill will? It's not like he did anything bad to the village. What about the housewife after that? Did she die just because she was the wife of the brother of a supporter? That's such a trivial reason to kill someone. And what about Tomitake-san? He's not affiliated with the damn project at all. Was he just killed because he was an outsider? In the beginning, it fell on those related to the dam project, but as the years went on, the enemy threshold of victims had become much lower. Well, that's the scary part. The bar keeps getting lower. What's scary about that? It means it's not just enemies of the village anymore. Just being an outsider is reason enough. Then, next year's victim, they're just going to be picked out of the village outsider pool? It might be a person that just moved here. What do you mean by... I swallowed my words. Here in Hinamizawa, the ones who would be considered the most outside would be... my family. I was proof enough of that, wasn't I? I still couldn't really remember the names of the people I passed by. Then, the next victims... my family. Was he saying it was going to be me? But what does that have to do with Mion? I can't go into details, but the Sonozaki family led the dam protests. Quite fervently so. This is also true of Mion Sonozaki-san herself. She has quite a few misdemeanor and obstruction of public worker offenses on her record because of the protests. I knew Mion knew what it meant to fight. That was the first I had heard of her family leading the protests, though. Then, well, what did it all mean? Are you saying that Mion's family is involved with this string of incidents? I wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying that if it was a conspiracy, then they'd have the highest probability of being behind it. Not a very clear explanation. It felt like he'd magnificently avoided the details I really wanted to know. We don't know who or how involved anyone is right now. That is exactly why I don't want you to say anything to the villagers. Instead of answering, I gave a very bitter expression. It seemed that he understood it well enough. Then think of it like this. I don't want to worry the villagers who blindly believe it's the curse. How about that? What do you mean, how about that? How should I know? But the reason behind wanting me to not carelessly open my mouth about it wasn't too hard to comprehend. The perpetrator was here. It had nothing to do with a curse. He was definitely going to be caught by the police and made to pay for his crimes. And none of the villagers would have anything to do with that process. It may cause those sensitive about the curse to just worry needlessly. Just like everyone who kept it from me so I wouldn't worry about it. Is it now my turn to keep it from them so they didn't have to worry? I was just talking to myself. Unlike me, everyone else had been worrying over these mysterious incidents yearly. And the incident this time probably means a lot more to them. I didn't want to burden them anymore. In the end, everything went as the man had wanted. And insipid as it was, but it couldn't be helped. I understand. I'll keep it to myself. Is that fine, Mr. Oishi from the Okonomiya police station? You can call me Kuda-chan if you want. No, Oishiro-san. Fine. So, I've never seen one this bulky before in the cop shows I watch. I've taken up too much time. Your friends are waiting, aren't they? I should probably let you go back to them. The door opened with a click and into extremely oppressive heat. It was blistering outside of the car. Was it really this hot of a day? It was almost a cruel heat as opposed to the mechanical coolness inside the car. It was as if the land of Hinamizawa itself suddenly hated me. I felt a little sad as that thought crossed my mind. I didn't mean to suspect your friends. Please, don't misunderstand that. I refrained from telling him that it was too late to say something that's self-serving. It's fine if you don't see or hear anything, Maebara-san. There is enough proof that the village is not involved. I'll contact you if I hear or see anything. But I'm no detective. Please don't expect too much from me. I won't. You don't have to become a detective. Just go on living as you have until now. Just let me know if you notice anything. I hastily made my way back to the school building after giving him a quick bow. See you later. Farewell, Maebara-kun. I returned to the school building without looking back. I don't know how much time had passed. I did feel bad for keeping them waiting, but right now there was a lot on my mind. Tomitake-san's death was hard enough as it was. But to think that there was a possibility of a village conspiracy. Or still, there was also a chance that Mion was involved. Nonsense. Impossible. Not Mion, Lena, Satoko, or Rika-chan. It was a group that attacked Tomitake-san. Who could the perpetrators be? Could it be they were hiding here, somewhere in Hinamizawa? I don't know. All I could say for certain was that I knew that Mion couldn't be the perpetrator. It's me-chan, the perpetrator! Huh? I was starting to hear Rena's voice. With the rope in the lounge. Nope. No. Oh, that was Rena. No. Rena clutched her head while flailing about. Looks like you're just self-destructing over here. Wow. Keiichi-san, you're quite late. As you may well know, I'm seething with anger. Sorry about that. I was called into the staff room, you see. You were reprimanded for bad behavior? That's a shame. Well, it's been pretty heated over here. Since it's getting pretty late, let's make the next game the last one. If I remember right, I had 0 points. Isn't it pretty much decided I'm going to be finishing last place? Don't worry, Keiichi-kun. I'm at -1 points. The heck? Her score is lower than mine and I wasn't even playing. This is the final match to decide if the penalty is going to be carried out by Lena alone or by both Kei-chan and Lena. Yeah, right. Just let Lena do the penalty by herself. We made a promise, Keiichi-kun, that we would both win. I waited all this time, you know. I'm sorry about that. I followed my initial plan of showing Nana my cards, but I didn't say who was the criminal and just waited for her to call. I got it! The murderer is me! With the poison at the entrance! Is it? My, Nana. Quite a quick answer. Another stab in the dark? Oh. Nana's correct. Then it's decided that Keiichi-san shall take part in the penalty as well. Hooray! Keiichi-kun, let's both do our best. Yeah, let's do our best. It's my fault, so I have no choice. Then that's game. It's me, Mion Sonozaki, ranked first. And dead last are Keiichi Maebara and Nana Ryugu. Everyone applauded at the game, and the game ended. The problem now was the penalty. Now then, I ranked first, so I'll decide what you'll be buying for the gopher penalty. What will she make us buy, I wonder? Let's back close the drugstore. That was your aim, wasn't it? Huh? I don't have any business at the drugstore. This old man's already got a list prepared for you on this piece of paper. Whoa, there's a lot written here. A lot? Damn it, what is she making us buy? 2 boxes of tofu, shampoo and conditioner, apple vinegar and fried tofu. The heck is this? It looks more like a shopping list and a penalty. Me was certain she was going to win today. Rule 7 of our society. You cannot refuse any penalty. Here's some money. The shampoo I usually get is Fruit Fable. Thanks! This is just your grocery list! I promised myself that if I won next time, I'd make her go buy hemorrhoid cream. Oy vey. Oy vey. It's sort of interesting how we go from something so serious like Tomitake's death, and that was the end of chapter 7. Oh my god. Holy crap. I just got an achievement called Not a Clue. It's so funny. Not funny, but interesting. How we went from something so serious as Tomitake's death to the crazy antics of these kids all over again. If only Akame got killed learned from this. Alright. We have some what look like police files. That's our tips for the end of this one. Hypovolemic shock induced by clawing out their own throat. That's still horrifying to think about. Oh god. I'm just remembering a scene from the anime. Tissue is packed under the nails. Not someone else's nails. It's undoubtedly by the individual's own nails. The shape of the scars also matches. Yeah. I know the immediate cause of death was suicide. I get it. You're saying this cause of death is unnatural, right? It's kind of like when your back itches and you scratch a little too hard and draw blood. Some of Tomitake-san's fingernails have been pulled out. Oh god, the infamous scene. Was that regular Higurashi or was it Kai? Oh god. I haven't actually fully seen the anime, but I know all about that scene. It's horrifying. It's actually quite simple to pull out one's own nails. Please stop talking about that. I'm getting flashbacks. But it really hurt. No shit! You're pulling the... Oh. Under normal circumstances, the pain would prevent you from completely pulling them out. I'm going to have nightmares tonight. Also, there were a lot of bruises on Tomitake's body. It's clear from the shape of them that he was assaulted first by someone or a group of people, and then absolutely lost his mind and clawed his own neck out. According to the toxicology report, the deceased was in an extreme state of hysteria right before death. Then fought back and clawed out his own throat because of how hysterical he'd become. The guys attacking him certainly would have been surprised by that. It is possible that in such an abnormal environment, a person could perform acts that a sane individual couldn't possibly imagine. Of course, those are very rare cases. If we're to think about this logically, like, moving this away from the lore of Higurashi, the whole thing. The Japanese, from what I've learned, especially, I don't know if they still do it nowadays, but they had a thing way back when, during the Edo period, World War II. I don't know if they still have this mentality. Honor before death. It's why seppuku was a thing. A samurai would kill themselves if they dishonored their family, or their lord. Tomitake-san didn't. If we're to think about it a little bit more logically, from Tomitake-san's personality, he would probably want to kill himself and not give his attackers the satisfaction of having made a kill. That's just an assumption, but it's the best thing I can think of right now. Actually, Oishi-kun, that wood plank the deceased used as a weapon, they only found sand and the paint from the guardrail on it. What about the cloth fibers or skin? Nothing. The deceased didn't strike the assailants. Or it could be they took the plank and was fighting back with. Or it could be they took the plank he was fighting back with. In that case, they wouldn't have gone out of their way to replace it with another. They'd take them all. That's true. Tomitake is pretty built and tanned. He was quite athletic. That's right. He was pretty active. I can't imagine what kind of sports he did when he was alive. But I think his physical strength would be on the higher side. Yeah, he was pro-built. Meaning, he would be difficult to overpower in a brawl. If a man with such a physique sensed he was in danger and swung the plank around quickly, it's just unthinkable that it wouldn't even nick the perpetrator. And his opponent was unarmed. This guy had a wooden plank, so you think he'd hit him at least once. To surround and take down someone of his physique. I wonder how many people it would take. You dimwit. You should know better than anyone. Have you forgotten your bad cop days? If I was to take down this guy, how many would I need? When a group wants to take down a big prey, it's fundamental to attack with numbers. I guess about 4. Even if there was a gap in their strength, they'd manage. Then there were quite a few perpetrators. So, say any drunken disorderly groups of more than 4 suspicious, group of 4 or more. Just, if they had that many, then couldn't they have hidden the body in a less obvious location? Or did he somehow break away from that fatal predicament? Then there would be no reason to commit suicide. Moreover, I still can't comprehend the irregular way he died. It's full of mysteries. That's under serious consideration on my end, too. I'll be examining it as thoroughly as possible. But don't get your hopes up. After all, we've never encountered a death like this before. I'm not hoping for much, but I am looking forward to the results. Oishi-san! Oishi-san! The chief is calling you! Thanks. See you around. Yeah. Best wishes. Then the search notice is the final one. Jiro Tomitake, deceased. Resided in a cheap hotel in Shishibone City. registered under the name Jiro Tomitake, pen name. Over his pen name, unless Jiro Tomitake is his pen name. Travels via a folding bike, no license. The bicycle was found 300 meters away, abandoned at the side of a forest path. Present on the day of the festival, accompanied by the missing Mio Takano, was seen around 9 p.m. by police. Location afterwards are unknown. Mio Takano! Is that the girl that he was hanging out with? That he left with? Held residence in Hinamizawa for 1 week each season for the last 5 to 6 years. Freelance photographer specializing in wild birds. Check with magazine companies. Nothing suspicious in the film located among the articles of the deceased. While it was among the articles deceased, mere act of violence? From the contents of his wallet, he spent most of his time around Tokyo and Chiba. Along the Sobu National Railway line? No individual matching the name Jiro Tomitake in the residency records of any of the Tokyo wards. Compare teeth to dental records. Send to Metro Police. Attach a photo. Send to Metro Police. Contacting magazines regarding Jiro Tomitake. Mio Takano, missing. Nurse at EDA Clinic, became close to Tomitake through her passion for wild bird photography. Resides in Okonomiya district. Single. Witnessed accompanied Tomitake on the festival grounds, currently missing. Abducted? Or maybe a suspect. An important person of interest. Had no motive to kill the deceased. Squabble from jealousy? Need to thoroughly investigate the relationship. Place of work, etc. Need to get information from the police on scene again. I want some cream puffs. 4 jumbo ones. Oishi. Alright, let's continue on.